It's time to learn about our history. Let's go to Ghana.
I don't need you to lower the bar for me. I know I'm superwoman, I know I'm strong, I know I've got this cause I've had it all along. I'm phenomenal, and I'm enough. I don't need you to tell me who to be.
My story continues. Ekuhaba, Ghana. Hello everyone, it's your girl again, Boss Baby Talk, as you already know. How are you guys doing today? I'm sure you guys are excited as I am. And today we're at the Cape Coast Castle, in one of the about 40 slave castles, or the largest commercial fort built in the Cape Castle, originally known as Gold Castle of West Africa by the European trades. Other Ghanaian slave castles include Elmina Castle and Fort Christenberg. These castles were used to hold slaves before they were loaded into the ship and sold them to the Americans, especially the Caribbeans. This, the gate of no return, was the last stop before crossing the Atlantic Ocean. It's time to look for the custodian of this Cape Coast Castle to tell us the story. Let's get into the video, guys.
And I'll begin with a brief introduction. Now, this is historic Cape Coast Castle. It was built around 1665 by British. That was the year they started building the castle. They built it in stages. They went through demolition, addition before they got this entire structure. And the way the British built the castle, the dungeons alone could hold about 1,300 slaves at one particular time. Remember, this castle was built at the peak of the transatlantic slave trade. So the way they built it, the dungeons are different from all other castles in the castle. And whenever they brought the slaves from the hinterland, they kept them in the dungeon 2 weeks minimum, maximum 3 months. All depends on the availability. In the British country, they built it up to the time we gained our independence. They would put the English out the castle. So the castle, as I told you, is 356 years old. That is the age of this castle. And before British built the castle, it will interest you to know that this piece of land changed hands among several white people. Swedish came here first, Swedish. They came around 1654. They were trading gold and ivory. They stayed for some time and abandoned the land. Then later, Danish came here because of gold. When the Danes were, the Dutch also attacked the Danes. So the Danes were defeated. Danes went to build this castle. So why Dutch thought they conquered everybody? 1664, British attacked the Dutch. When the British defeated the Dutch, and they built the castle, they knew other Europeans would come to attack them. But they brought these cannons for defense. That's why they were to stay for about 200 years.
Wow.
When the British were here, Dutch attacked British, Danes attacked British, French attacked British, and it was stronger than them. They built the entire castle in bricks like this, small bricks. They brought all these bricks from England. They brought them to balance their ships to Africa. When we were going, these Africans as balance away. At that time, no cement, so they used grounded seed shells. Introduction. Let's start from the dungeon. So we are going to the male dungeon. Where's the middle? Casa. Don't Don't rush. Take it easy. Take it easy. Use the menu. Don't be afraid.
Oh, I knew it.
Come here. From where we are gathered now to the last end, it was built for 1,000 slaves. But British divided the dungeons into 5. So this is one. And look at the size of this one. 200 people were kept. 200. There was no light. Our light is off today. So you can see that these 3 holes were their windows. And where they could get air to breathe. And they stayed 2 weeks to 3 months. So some of them became blind. Some became blind. Now with the help of your light, you can see the bricks on the floor. This is what I told you they used to build the castle. And at that time, they had no toilet facility, no urinal for the Africans. So our people were forced to go to toilet here. But come here, if you have they go to toilets, they will urinate, they were here for about 3 months. These trenches were constructed as their urinal. And when they urinate, it will pass through into the sea. But it got to a time that some Africans started fighting the white people. They wanted to free themselves. Those were identified and brought from this side to this place. So then they created a door at the entrance. There was a door here before. So they call where we are gathered now a strong room. So British were not coming to clean the floor. So the waste started piling. It started from one level to the other to the other. It reached a time that this bricks was covered with solid waste. So I'm going to show you something. One more second. It's help me with your light. Let's look at white lines. Yeah. Before they stop cleaning this place, the waste piled to the bottom of these lines. They reach this heights. From the bricks, they reach this heights. Reach the heights like this. The bricks was covered. By 1974, the University of Ghana came to do excavation here before they found the original bricks. That was on Monday. So those who died were thrown into the sea. They were not buried. But they left a portion of that waste. That one is there. Let's have a look. Look at this one. You can see the bricks. You can see the bricks around. So this is waste. This is how the floor was like. It's all waste. This one was tested, and it proved that it had toilet, urine, blood, and another. So this is waste. First time waste. Let's move on. So that is the first one for 200 people. Second also 200. This also 200. And see, you cannot see the bricks here. This is all solid waste. This is all part of the waste. Holes here were windows for those that they kept here. This was a spy hole. But on top of this dungeon, British went to build a church. They said they were Christians and they go to church. They call the church Society for the Propagation of the Gospel, SPG. That one changed into Anglican Church in Ghana. So they were up preaching Bible, and blacks were here suffering from whites. They didn't care about that. Let's move on, please. This is the last one, which also had about 200 slaves. And look at this floor. This is all part of the waste. Pure flooring. This is solid waste. And out of the 1,000 people, by the time they were ready to go with it, some died. Those who survived were gathered in darkness. They bring them here. At that time, there was a hole at the back of this white cloth. They called it a tunnel. So they forced them through the tunnel. They take them to the point of no return. That was the end. They didn't come back again. By the tunnel was blocked in the year 1833 by a British governor called George McLean. But when we go outside, that hole is there, you see. But here it is blocked, you can't see that. When they bring them from the darkness to this point, where they were here for over a month, some of them were sick and weak. So the sick ones, they will select them. They will send them to this model to go and wait, just to allow the stronger ones to go. That was why this window was created. So that because there wasn't lights at that time, this one would help them to see who's sick and who's not sick. The goal we are standing now, selection room or sorting room. What we have here is not part of the dungeon system, it is a shrine. And we have to understand that before British built the castle in 1665, the locals who owned the land had a shrine like this. And when the British built the castle, anytime the local people wanted to come and pour their libation, British will say no. The local people came for their shrine to their community. So when the English left, they brought it back here. This was brought here in the 1960s. They call it Nana Tabil. And in Cape Coast, there are 77 gods. Nana is one of them. Let's look around here and some flowers. This doesn't mean that somebody died. The blacks taken away. The actual people did not get the chance to come back alive. But now the descendants, African Americans, are coming home. They come from the US, Jamaica, globally. Whenever they come, we go on a tour like this. In fact, many of them share tears with us. But that some pray, they pour libation, they do other rituals, they live this sincere. They go, but that's why we have this thing. So today, we will not be going to the sick chamber, not going through the dark tunnel. We are free. So we are going back, please. Leading to the point of no return. And we are grapes in the yard. One certificate in Korea. This is for the Ghanaian civic equipment. This man, his father, worked with the British people. So he was taken to England. They were three: Philip, Thomas, and William. When he got to England, the two died. He survived. The British trained him as a school teacher and a pastor. He came back to the country, then Gold Coast, as a pastor and a teacher preaching. Now this is the church. Where these people are standing. That structure is the church. So he preached in the church. At that same time, blacks were down suffering for months. He taught some Euro-African children. He worked for the British for the whole of his life and died October 17, 1816 at age 75. So because he worked for British, up to today, we don't know what killed those gentlemen. This is for George MacLean. Names like MacLean, MacDonald's, McCarthy, they are Scottish names. The man came to the castle 1830 as a governor and a judicial assessor. It was this man who came to block the tunnel. Before MacLean came, people were going through the tunnel. He came to block it. He started a court up there called MacLean's Hall because slavery in Africa lasted 400 years. So that British colonized Ghana for 113 years. In colonial time, the capital of Ghana was in Cape Coast. They moved to Accra in the year 1877. That was a law court. The same man was the architect of the bond of 1844. He stayed in the building 17 years. Malaria killed him. He died 1847, 46 for malaria. This is a wife of MacLean called Letitia Elizabeth Landon. She was the only white woman who came around during the entire period of the trade. But 2 months she also died. When MacLean was coming, MacLean didn't come with a wife. So for like 6 years, MacLean wasn't going to England to visit the wife. So the wife came to visit. And she died after 2 months on arrival. There were a lot of rumors at that time. One school of thought said malaria killed Letitia within 2 months on arrival. The other one said because MacLean stayed longer, MacLean wasn't going to England again. MacLean has gone in for an African woman by name Miss Bannerman from Accra. So Letitia came to hear of that story. Out of jealousy, she took some poison and died. And the last one said that the woman that MacLean was going out with, they said the woman was a beautiful, fantastic, and complete Ghanaian woman by all standards. The woman wanted to have MacLean forever as a husband. So when Letitia came, the Ghanaian woman posed as a servant, then poisoned Letitia so that she'll get MacLean to marry. So these are the theories surrounding the death of this lady. So till now, Me, I don't know what killed Letitia. But Letitia died. She died 1837, 10 years before the husband died, age 36. So what did he kill Letitia? Let's come on.
400 years old? 400 years old. Wow. I'm just gonna get these shots. Cool.
Come and see it.
Okay. No.
When food, the volume is about 20,000 gallons. You only do rain harvesting. Rain on the rain to this one. That was only water.
Oh, only rain harvest?
Only rain harvesting.
Wow.
This one is the same thing. Hey! You took some pictures here already. Yeah. So because of the time we can't go there. So let's move straight. Hello. No dungeon. I told you the men walk through this to the door of no return. And I told you my clean block the tunnel. So from there they walk through. So where you were taking the pictures, there's a hole down. And this is the hole. So just get closer and have a look before. They walk from the male dungeon.
Look from the picture. So they come to appear here.
We need a light again. Anna?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Now look on your right here.
Yeah.
This is the end of the tunnel. The tunnel is the end. So when they were buying and selling slave, it was open. So they would come from the far side, through where I showed you. When it got here, at first this was the door of no return for the men. All the men were going this way. But due to the waves, the sea was coming in. The British closed that side. Okay. They created it as a new entrance. So for me, instead of them going this way, they'll pass it. So let's come Now this cell was built for some of the female. Because of malaria, the whites never brought their wives. Only men came. They left their wives. They brought their wives to Africa because of malaria. But they couldn't stay alone for longer time, so they raped African women. And sometimes, if they wanted to do that, some women would be fighting. Those who refused, they brought them here. But that was in London to stay for like a week for punishment. They were doing that so that the next day when they come to you, you would not fight again. The hole you are looking at, that was the toilet at that time. You pass food and water through this place. Once in a day, sometimes twice. Let's move. Women were 150 here, 150 there. And women were treated like the men. They go to toilet. They urinate at the end of every month. They pass their menstruations. Men pass their menses. They didn't allow them to clean their teeth. They did not bath for 3 months. And upon all this treatment given to them, the white men still raped the women. So anytime they wanted to do that, they live at the top. They come from the rooms upstairs. They open this, that, they look through, then they will select a woman to the bedroom. Those who refused rape were punished in the cell I showed you. Some of them became pregnant at that time. So when we're ready to go, and they see that you are pregnant, they will not take you away. Those people, they free them. They built houses for the Awaki Post town. They put them there. They give them everything. When they give birth, sometimes they'll free the mother with the child. They'll take up the mother and the baby. After about 10 years, they go and take the light skin baby from the mother. They bring the mother here again as a slave. And they give birth to light skinned children of mulattoes. And they gave names to them. That is how come in Ghana, along the coast, where the whites settled, we have light skinned people. And most of the Ghanaians having European last names, such as Van Dyke, Van der Poy, Van Vika, Dattels, Da Costa, De Souza, Johnson, Compson, Ferguson, Morrison, Jackson, Branson, Anderson, Thompson, Wilson, all the censuses. These are names. Let's move on. Look at the door of no return. I will go through.
So basically, this is the door of no return. Wow. But we are definitely returning.
Alright, I want to give you 1 minute. Take some pictures. 2 minutes, take some pictures. It's getting dark. Take some pictures, 2 minutes, and then we'll resume. Arrow, which was designed for one individual at a time. So they'll go through one after the other, put them on boats, then to the bigger ships.
Okay.
And the door was made bigger than this during colonial times. You happen to go to Elmina Castle. Elmina stay as original.
From this door, right?
Yes, from this door.
Oh, okay.
But the door was widened during colonial time. And if you go through the door of no return, during the time of slave trade as a black person, one, you will lose your identity. You will lose your culture, respect, dignity, and everything. From here, some of the slaves were taken to North America, United States. Places like Jamestown in Virginia, North and South Carolina, and almost all the original British states in America, they passed through here. Some went to England, Liverpool. And Liverpool was the biggest slave harbor in the whole of Europe. Others went to Bristol, Bahamas, Trinidad and Tobago, including Jamaica. But those who were taken to Brazil, they passed through Elmina Castle, through down to the port, because Brazil was a Portuguese colony. Some Brazilians were taken from Angola, East Africa. But if you talk about Suriname, Haiti, Dutch Guyana, Curacao, they also passed through Elmina Castle. And interestingly, Brazil received the largest number of slaves from Africa. Brazil got about 47%, the entire slaves from Africa. And Brazil is the second largest black population in the whole world, second to Nigeria. You know that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Coming, we saw no return, but going, we have the return. The return is symbolic. It came just about 1998, some 23 years ago, I think. There was a ceremony in Ghana called Emancipation 98. During that time, skeletons of two enslaved Africans, they called them Samuel Carson and Madame Krista Wezim from New York and Jamaica. The skeletons were brought first to Accra to where we are gathered now. They put them in two caskets. The door was open. They were taken through to where I showed you those graves for a short African funeral ceremony. And then they carried the skeletons to a nearby town called Asim Manso for reburial.
Are they Ghanaian? That's why they brought them back home.
Blacks.
Oh, because they are blacks.
Because they are blacks.
Okay.
A male and a female skeleton.
Wow.
For reburial at Asim Manso. So because two skeletons came, and with us on our soil buried, that is why we are ringing the door of 10. It means out of the millions taken away by the whites, we brought 298. Now it's telling us that at least once in our lifetime, so the blacks should come to Ghana, for that matter, Cape Coast Castle, and go through the door
of return.
That's what exactly we have done this evening. 2
Yes.
years after the year of return.
That's
So
good.
we are returning.
Sure, we have to.
You don't want to return?
No, we have to. It's a must.
Now go inside the Palava hall.
Okay.
This is a Palava hall.
Oh.
Not problem.
Oh,
Not
okay.
chaos, not confusion.
Oh,
Etc. But Palava came from Portuguese. The Portuguese word, do you know that?
I don't
Came
know.
from Portuguese. This place was actually the market auction block.
Oh, this place.
No, that hall
Oh, that hall.
where they auction captives.
Oh,
And I want to take this opportunity and brief you as to how, who got the black people as slaves. How did they get them as slaves? Now, during the time of slave trade, nobody volunteered to suffer like this. They were captured through several means and strategies. And we have to know that because the whites needed Africans to go and work for them at all costs, they managed to create a system in Africa that was very, very difficult for our ancestors, led by chiefs, to resist the white people. Until today, 21st century, to me, I think that system has not really changed much. The system is still working 24/7 in a modernized way, which many people are not aware of, especially African people. One, Europeans captured some of the people physically using weapons. Two, they worked with some blacks to capture other Africans. There were some collaborators. There were other Africans called slave raiders Like armed robbers of today, we can mention names like Samori and Babatu. The white gave those people guns, whiskey, sugar, tobacco, second-hand clothing. And their system of trading was better, so they forced the robbers and they accept their stuff. The only option was to organize themselves into groups. They go and raid villages, capture people, bring them to the Europeans in exchange for their stuff. Some of the Africans were told that they were taking them to Europe for good living. Few accepted. That was a deceit. But the last one that brought majority was ethnic conflict. That brought more than 70% of the slaves. And we have to understand that before the white men came to Africa in 1471, which was the Portuguese, they came first in 1471. Before they came, there was nothing like Ghana or Nigeria or Togo or Zimbabwe. We had kingdoms, empires, African states. So for that matter, the Africans govern themselves. So sometimes they fight over a boundary just to expand their territory. Sometimes they fight over land they perceive to be rich of gold or diamond. But before the white men came, our people who own the land would go to wars with weapons like bows and arrows, which are manufactured locally. And they go to war with these things. After a long fight, one tribe will lose the war. The losers will be taken as domestic slaves. Those people, to a large extent, they had some amount of freedom. They could marry, raise free children. They could acquire property. Later, they were integrated into the family system. They were not kept in the They were also not taken to Europe and America permanently. They were free in society. And I believe that system of slavery has been with humans since time immemorial. In ancient Rome, Egypt, even in the Bible. Let me give you an example. In Ghana, I can tell you an authority that not long ago, if you own somebody, he hasn't got that money to pay, you can allow your son, your daughter, sometimes your wife to go and work for the person you are owing for a number of years. You both agree upon just to pay the debt. So the period of work you are called a slave. You can working like that, and you are a woman and you are beautiful with a good character, and somebody from the master's family should get married to you, automatically you free yourself from the slave to be part of the family, because there's no way I can enslave my wife. I don't think any man on earth can do so. Since when the white men came, we had this system in place. And when they came, the situation changed. Immediately, they capitalized on our system. So they brought guns to replace the bows and arrows that our ancestors were using. They added the sugar, the whiskey, sardine, tobacco. This were given to the African people. The African thought it was free. It was never free. White man has no free lunch. That's what we have to know. And they will tell them that they need the guns to protect themselves. The same guns to fight the other tribe, take everything. The guns get to the chiefs, and they organize their people, use their weapons against the other people. Divide and rule, divide and conquer. So the more they go to the war, the more they captured some prisoners of war in exchange for European goods. This was the system at that time. If you look at what is happening globally in the 21st century, brothers and sisters, tell me, what has really changed? Has something changed? Unless you don't understand my narration carefully. Nothing has changed though. The system is still with us 24/7 in a modernized way. Many people are not aware of that. So we are here creating an awareness. The people came from all over West Africa, some from Ghana, southern part, the northern belt, to the northern region, some from Togo, Nigeria, Burkina Faso. We know places like Salaga in northern Ghana, Tumu, Paga, Nani, Pikoro, those were market centers where they gather them. Today we call those places like refugee camps, where they gather refugees during when the war, outbreak of war. When they get a huge number, they start to walk from Paga to Nani, Salaga. They walked. They came by foot. They spent months. Many died on the way. Through Brongahafo, through Kumasi. As same as they had a stop of where they were back for the last time in Africa. Gave them cho to eat for them to look good and attractive. As same as when they arrived in the castle, they march all of them to the Palava Hall. This place. This was where they auctioned them. So because of auctioning, there was some misunderstanding between the buyer and then the supplier of price. Because some giant man, somebody want to offer maybe a mirror or some one tobacco, piece of tobacco. They say, no, I don't like this one, this is too small. So they were bargaining between the two parties. After that, when they buy them, they'll brand them using their trademarks. They'll design that in the form of mental stamp.
So it's actually real.
Yes, real, it happened. Put it in mental stamp, put it in fire when it's hot, you stamp any part of the body. They were doing that to identify, because if I buy 40 for my company, you bought 40, you bought 10, somebody bought 2, somebody bought 3.
Identify you.
Yes. Then before they put them in the dungeons. That's what today people say tattoo. And they do it all over their skin. All over. So to me it's not good. So this was the market, auction and block. But the same place was where the bond of 1844 was signed. It was signed between 8 French ships and British. That was the first time the local people handed over our land to foreigners, which led to colonization. So colonization on paper, that was signed. Any question?
Oh, but
Let's finish it.
I want to ask this one question. What changed that white man's mind? But that time there's no Bible. There's no Bible. But what's happening? That white man who did their back to us, same white man who did the Bible to come and confuse us. So same for that white man.
So what is the question?
So I want to ask, so the Bible is saying confusing us is a sin. That's my question.
I don't want to change your faith though, but
because that's what men do bad things. That's what
I don't want to change your faith though, but if you want to go deeper, if you are not careful, tomorrow, Sunday, you don't go to church. Because religion.
You can bring faith into this. You can bring religion into it.
Religion was used. Religion was used as a tool. Religion, they are still using religion today. Just to sometimes when they say it, people will say you are this, you are that. But frankly speaking, you have to look at religion in a holistic way, both Islamic and Christianity. I'm not saying it's not good though, yes. But the way we have accepted it, the way we are practicing it, question mark. Question mark. Because I believe that I'm not saying there's no God, there's God. But I'm saying that nobody can develop no human being can develop without their culture. We have our culture, yes. Before they could. Now, because of education and other things, they made us believe that our culture is more like devil or something, more evil. We have abandoned that one. We have accepted the other one. So now we are in between the two. We are Christian in the way, traditional in the way. So we are hanging. Which people colonize? Because they maintain their culture, but look at where they are. Which people colonize Chinese? Who colonize the Asians? That's why with their Buddhists and look at where they are. Yes. Those of us who we have abandoned ours. We have accepted the other one. We are the lowest in the whole world. But today, if you want to say these things, the clergy will bash you. They will tell you you are antichrist. It's true. So I don't want to change your faith though. There are more things to talk about.
I won't change your faith, but some of you will believe that I came to meet the last bit, but some of you met the magicians at the trotro stations, at the taxi stations. They'll be doing magic there, and then the money that you've been sent with, at the end of the day, you won't find it with you anymore. Where are all those people now? They are the people who have been turned into pastors, and they are in the church using another form. Why is it that you can't pray to God and get what you will get, but you have to sow seed, you have to pay this, you have to go and pay the pastor before? The rest is left for you.
Riding in a limousine. And they tell you you have to build your house in heaven where nobody will touch it. But here, people will still, there will be armed robbers, that kind of thing. But they are building this right here, buying cars, building mansions, and doing other things. But they say yours is in heaven when you die. Wait, yes. Our gold is under the gold is down. They came all the way from outside to
come and mine our gold here. They're taking the gold away. And they are telling you, you wait till you die and go to heaven. Then you walk on the gold. If there is some gold somewhere, this white man, will he leave that gold for you, black man?
If we go inside,
There is some gold somewhere. You the gold which is even down. And he's telling you that you wait. Wait, when you die. When you get to heaven, you go and walk the streets. You're deceiving us. You don't know where you are going when you die. They are deceiving us. So it's about time we have to. I just want to show something for everyone. Let's challenge to call you. Come back. It was for their military. So they were there. If you are there, you can see everywhere in Cape Coast. So they were there looking whether other Europeans were coming to attack them. And that was built basically to protect this building. It was a military base. And you see, this one is Anglican Church. They colonized Ghana for 113 years. If the gold is to be enjoyed in heaven, why don't they live after slave trade? And then they colonized us for 130. That was the time they took our gold property. Then they constructed railway lines linking Wasi, Prestia, Takwa to take all the natural resources to England. To the amount of gold sitting in England. That is why the pound is so strong all the time. It's coming from this soil. So if the gold we should enjoy it in heaven, they don't mind gold. Meanwhile, they have the biggest gold in the world. Meanwhile, they don't mind gold. They don't have any natural resources. But they have the biggest gold reserve. We should die before she will go and tell our money. Let's move on. Now, this is hello. This is part of the original floor. Now, look, this is communication. If you look through the hole, you can see the fort. Look through that hole, my brother, the one at your back. Look through that hole. If you see, look through the hole, you see the fort. The fort was for the military. I said earlier. Some soldiers were standing here. They give a signal to each other in case of attack. They could raise their flag, flash a mirror. In the night, they use lights. Because there are no communication room. Let's move to the right. Let's go. Living quarters. You can see 9 windows in the living room. Living room alone has 9 windows. 21st century. How many windows do we have in our living rooms, African? We have 3 windows, 4, 5. He has 9. That's at 18th century. That's 9 windows. Let's move on. Now this is the bedroom. The bedroom, you can see 5 windows. 5 windows plus 9 with 2 at the entrance. If you compare to the dungeon, you can tell the story better. 9 there, 5 here, 2 here. Now the wooden floor is not original. The floor was wood, but we have replaced this many times. We changed doors and windows as well. But the wood up that one is original. We're moving out, but after the door, sharp right, you see Gavner's wardrobe or closet. Oh, you say wedding. Wedding. Oh, that's a big name. Is it really wedding? Move back, where's it really wedding? And then, mind you, are in Ophir. Now, back, where's it really wedding? And then, what about wedding? Bed 1 month. No, but ring not to now. Yes, on the top of the dungeons where I told you, I'll show you the waist part like the cake. It is half of this. That is Anglican Church above the dungeon. These two are security posts. But this space, each and every space had a cannon in it for defense. We can sometimes see Elmina Castle here. Look straight and see the line is curving to the far end. There's something that's Elmina Castle. The one to the tip, the far end. That structure was built around 1482 by Portuguese under the leadership of one Don Diego Giazon Buja.
The grim history of the slave trade from Africa, it is one that has an impact on the generation of people all over the world. While much of the initial voyage and inhumane treatment of the slave has been historically normalized, there has been little written on the zebra. And also, there is a book of The Door of No Return by William St. Clair